Welcome to Oregon Law Lab.
I'm Professor Liz Tippett.
And I'm Jessica Brown. Today we'll be talking about whistleblowers.
With Dean Richard Moberly from the University of Nebraska School of Law. Joining me in the interview will be Bryan O'Connell, a first-year student here at the University of Oregon.
Hi, Dean Moberly. It's so great to see you.
Great seeing you, Liz.
You're now the dean at the University of Nebraska, but, back when I first met you, you were known primarily for your whistleblower scholarship.
That's how we first met.
So in recent years, Dean Moberly, I think the Supreme Court has had a reputation for not being especially employee-friendly in some issues, but you noted in your research the Supreme Court has been remarkably consistent when it comes to whistleblowers in particular. Could you tell us a little more about that?
So that was a piece that I wrote after I'd been looking at whistleblower issues for a while. So I would follow, of course, any retaliation case that came up to the Supreme Court. And after the third or fourth one, I thought, my gosh, the employees are winning a lot, because they've gone to great lengths to find protection in statutes where you might not think there would be. I mean, there were cases involving statutes that did not include retaliation provisions at all, and they implied anti-retaliation protection in that statute.
We were also curious about Congress. So one of the insights from your work is that Congress tended to be pretty pro-whistleblower in the last decade or so as well. Could you speak a little bit to that?
Really since the Enron bankruptcies in the early 2000s and the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, almost every major act that has been passed by Congress that deals with the economy in any broad measure includes whistleblower protections.
I think this is like the one thing that both sides of the aisle agree on is whistleblowers.
The left thinks of it as an employment issue, and they're going to want to protect employees, and because the right thinks of it as a law enforcement issue.
So I wanted to also talk a little bit about national security whistleblowers. I mean, one of the great paradoxes of President Obama was that he said he was pro-whistleblower, he seemed pro-whistleblower, everything about him seemed pro-whistleblower, but when it came to national security leakers or whistleblowers, it was like, bam, you're in jail.
He just turns out to be a president, right? I mean, that's it. He just did what all the other presidents do, and in fact, doubled down on it in a lot of ways. He was actually, in a lot of ways, just emblematic of where the law is. Statutorily, right, Congress has been very expansive in whistleblower protections for public employees generally and for private employees. But for the slice of public employees that deal in national security, they're very reluctant to encourage them to come forward, to give them protections after they do. The interesting thing about Obama that was so different was he started prosecuting the people who leaked. In a way and to an extent that no one had ever done before. I mean, I think the numbers are up or 6 or 7, and until that time it had been 2 or 3 at most. So the question has always been, was he more aggressive with it, or was he just president at a time when we could track who was leaking because of digital fingerprints in a way that we never could before?
Also just the volume of leaks that are possible now. I mean, when you think about the volume of material that Chelsea Manning disclosed, I mean, that's scary to any president, it's just in terms of the sheer volume.
Amazing what can be held on a Lady Gaga CD, which is what he mugged all that stuff out with.
Right. I mean, that's one of the things I'm really reluctant to even talk about President Trump in any capacity. But one of the things that I think is so interesting and different about him is he's extremely suspicious of the national security apparatus, which is quite a break from his predecessors from both sides of the aisle.
From every one of his predecessors.
Yeah.
And that's accurate.
With whistleblowers being one of those really rare areas that are agreed upon across the aisle, where do you see it going in the future?
So the thing that I've seen change in the 15 years that I've been writing about this or so is I think the socialization of being a whistleblower is different. You think about, but before Sarbanes-Oxley and before Sharon Watkins and Cynthia Cooper and were on the cover of Time magazine as persons of the year for being whistleblowers, being a whistleblower was kind of frowned upon. You're a snitch, right? You're a tattletale. My 2 kids coming to me, and one of them was telling on the other, and this is a guy who studies whistleblower. Don't tattle on your brother, to catch myself from saying that. I think that's less commonplace now. I mean, there are movies about whistleblowers. It's in the popular culture in a way that's different and as the hero, as opposed to the villain.
Well, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Great fun and a huge honor. Take care.
Bye.
Hey Brian, good luck with everything. Where are you?
Thank you so much. Where am I from? Is that?
Yeah.
I'm from Oregon, actually. I grew up in a little town called Newburgh.
Good. Are you enjoying law school so far?
Yeah, so far so good.
Don't
I-
let it tempt you to go to Nebraska. You have to stop talking.
My parents are actually
He's
from
enticing
Iowa,
you.
so
He's
I do have
enticing
that.
You're from Iowa?
Yeah, my dad's from Davenport. My mom's from a little town called Wilton, but nobody in Nebraska.
All right.